Moments ago, news broke that caught many fans and followers off guard. Mike Rowe, the man whose voice and persona have celebrated hard work and everyday heroes for decades, shared a personal revelation that marks a turning point. For over 20 years, Mike has been more than a television host. He's been a storyteller, a bridge between ordinary Americans and the unseen labor that powers the country. Today, at 62, he announces a pause in the relentless pace that defined his career, leaving fans both reflective and grateful for the impact he has made. Early roots in Baltimore, Mike Rowe's journey began far from the grimy work sites that later made him famous. Growing up in Baltimore, Maryland, he was drawn to performance, storytelling, and music. Choir rehearsals and school plays honed a rich baritone voice, while evenings at home introduced him to the quiet influence of his grandfather, a master tradesman. Unlike peers chasing fantasy heroes, Mike admired the dignity found in calloused hands and everyday labor. These formative experiences planted seeds of respect for work and craft that would guide his choices long before cameras ever followed him into muddy trenches and industrial chaos. From voice work to live television. After earning a communications degree from Towson University, Mike explored voice acting and opera, training with the Baltimore Opera Company. His voice could have filled concert halls, but his heart sought connection over performance alone. He transitioned into television, narrating commercials and projects, before landing a live-selling role on QVC. Nights of unscripted, real-time engagement sharpened his timing, humor, and empathy. Every product pitch became an exercise in storytelling and connection. It was this combination of voice, authenticity, and curiosity that ultimately prepared him for the opportunity that would define his public persona. A show dedicated to celebrating the grit and determination of America's everyday workers. Discovering America's hidden workforce, the opportunity arrived as a pitch for a show that seemed simple on the surface. Explore the country's toughest, messiest jobs. When Mike agreed, he could not have known the cultural impact that would follow. He didn't approach the work with a desire to shock or entertain through spectacle. Instead, he immersed himself fully, listening to people, learning from their routines, and honoring their expertise. Pig farmers, miners, sewer inspectors, and crab fishermen all became more than characters on television. They were educators and mentors, their labor reframed as essential, noble, and deserving of recognition, transforming grime into respect. The show's success rested on Mike's ability to translate arduous work into relatable narratives. He climbed into sewage pits, castrated lambs, hauled trash, and faced industrial hazards with curiosity, humor, and humility. Viewers weren't just observing unusual jobs, they were connecting with people whose efforts had long been overlooked. Mike's narration elevated everyday labor into something poetic, transforming grime into stories of perseverance, skill, and integrity. This human-first approach turned the series into more than entertainment. It became a mirror, reflecting a society often disconnected from the hands that kept it running, and a spotlight on the dignity in effort. Becoming a household name. As the series gained popularity, Mike Rowe emerged not as a typical celebrity, but as a trusted storyteller. His relatability and respect for the working class endeared him to audiences across the country. Fans admired his humor, insight, and unwavering support for those who built, cleaned, and maintained the infrastructure of everyday life. Even after the show ended, assumptions that his influence would fade were quickly proven wrong. Mike deepened his mission, using his platform to highlight the importance of skilled labor and to advocate for the value of hard work in a society increasingly obsessed with formal credentials. Championing skilled labor, Mike's experience on the road revealed a nationwide shortage of skilled tradespeople, coupled with a growing stigma around manual labor. In response, he launched the Mike Rowe Works Foundation in 2008, channeling millions into scholarships for welders, plumbers, electricians, and mechanics. His message was clear: dignity is not measured by a degree, but by effort and contribution. Through this work, he challenged the prevailing college or bust mindset, showing young Americans alternative paths to success and fulfillment. He also brought these lessons to classrooms, legislative hearings, and online audiences, spreading awareness and inspiring future generations to respect labor as a vital pillar of society. Expanding the mission beyond scholarships, Mike created Returning the Favor, a program celebrating everyday heroes in communities, and continued his storytelling with The Way I Heard It, a podcast echoing the brevity and insight of classic radio. Each story, whether humorous, poignant, or surprising, reinforced his signature theme: ordinary lives, extraordinary effort. Over time, Mike evolved into a philosopher of the working world, offering reflections on effort, resilience, and purpose. His influence transcended television, becoming a cultural touchstone for those seeking to understand the value of work beyond the conventional definitions of success. The physical and emotional toll. Years of physically demanding work left an inevitable mark. Crawling into confined spaces, lifting heavy objects, and navigating industrial hazards came with both visible and invisible strain. Mike often joked about aches and scrapes, but the reality weighed on him. Continuous travel, relentless projects, and the emotional responsibility of carrying a national conversation about skilled labor added additional pressure. Fans may have seen the humor and ease, but the reality was that the demands of honoring every worker, every day, had accumulated. This awareness ultimately contributed to his latest decision, emphasizing the need for rest and self-care. A new chapter. In a recent statement, Mike revealed that he will be stepping back from much of his public work to prioritize health and personal well-being. Leadership of the Mike Rowe Works Foundation will transition to others, ensuring that the mission continues without relying solely on one individual. While the announcement carries a note of finality, Mike emphasizes that he is not disappearing. His podcast will continue, and he will still engage with audiences in quieter, more personal ways. The relentless pace of travel and public appearances, however, is ending, an acknowledgement that even those we consider tireless must sometimes slow down. The lasting legacy. Mike Rowe's impact is not confined to television clips or organizational milestones. His work has inspired a renewed respect for labor, evident in classrooms using his footage, in scholarships supporting apprenticeships, and in families sharing stories of grit and effort. He made Americans notice the hands that keep the country running and taught society that work itself has inherent value. His legacy lives not only in tangible accomplishments, but also in a cultural shift, an enduring reminder that honor resides in effort, curiosity, and humility. The final lesson. As Mike steps into a quieter chapter, his story offers a final subtle lesson. Strength and resilience include knowing when to rest. After decades illuminating hidden labor, advocating for skilled workers, and celebrating unsung heroes, he models the same principles he has long championed: dedication, humility, and balance. While the spotlight on him may dim, the influence of his work continues. Every handshake, scholarship, and story he shared ripples outward, inspiring a generation to see work as noble, to value effort, and to honor those who keep life running behind the scenes. Closing reflection. Mike Rowe's career reminds us that true impact often comes from seeing the overlooked, hearing the unheard, and elevating the ordinary into something extraordinary. His voice, both literal and figurative, reshaped perceptions of work and human effort. Now, as he steps back from the relentless demands of public life, his mission continues through those he has inspired. The lessons of grit, dignity, and care for others endure, not because of one man, but because of the countless people who carry forward his vision, creating a society that respects labor in all its forms.